Give a round of applause then.
Hello, I'm Jacqueline Chai, and my presentation is on the Boxer Rebellion. Now they have started the aggression, and the extinction of our nation is imminent. If we must perish, why not fight to the death? This quote was said by Empress Dowager Cixi during what is now known as the Boxer Rebellion. In the years leading up to the Boxer Rebellion, foreign nations have steadily gained power over China, taking Chinese land and dominating their trade. The opium trade flourished, and addiction was widespread. In the midst of this, the Yiho Chuan, known in the West as the Boxers, gained prominence in China. It is a group made up of peasants and farmers. In the Boxer Rebellion, the joint forces of the Boxers and the Chinese government wanted to forcibly halt the opium trade and expel the foreigners and Chinese Christians which they had believed had corrupted their society. On the other side, the Eight-Nation Alliance desired continued profit from the opium trade and the various concessions they had obtained through the Chinese during the Opium Wars. The Boxer Rebellion started in 1899 and ended when the Chinese officials signed the Boxer Protocol in 1900, where they agreed to pay huge war reparations to the Eight-Nation Alliance and execute most of the Boxer leaders and the officials that had supported them. A contributor to the start of the fighting was the Boxers' belief that through training, martial arts, and prayer they could gain supernatural powers and be invulnerable against Western weapons. Their fanaticism led them to attack with the belief that there was no way they could be defeated. The writings of one of these Boxers urged the people onward, claiming that oceans and fires and mountains of daggers could not harm them. While this was happening, a drought killed off many of the crops in China, and the following flood killed most of the rest. This resulted in a severe famine and much internal unrest and dissatisfaction. Many of the people in China blamed the foreigners and the Chinese Christians' refusal to pay to the traditional Chinese deities. In an account of Ning Leo Tai, a woman who lived during this time, she testified that her husband and many of her friends turned to opium during the famine, as those who opium care not for food. Rampant opium addiction only served to anger the Chinese more, and the Boxers steadily gained popular support. The starving people were all too eager to blame someone for their misfortune. The captions of pictures of the time tell how the people were forced to sell their furniture and the materials of their houses and many of their fields for a mere song, till at last no purchaser could be found. I believe that the primary cause of the Boxer Rebellion was the fact that the foreigners had little or no regard for the Chinese people. The opium trade led to widespread addiction in China and inflamed the resentment against the foreigners. Unequal treaties granted the foreigners and Christians exemption from the Chinese laws, and as such, criminals could gain legal immunity in China if they converted to Christianity. Powerful foreign nations blatantly laid claims to Chinese lands. The famine inflamed the existing problem, and the Boxers' cult encouraged them to take action without regard to their safety. Political cartoons at the time, like this one from Puck magazine, where representatives of powerful nations divide up Chinese lands while the Chinese official looks on helplessly, depict the impotency of the Chinese government and the other nations' disregard for the Chinese opinion. The disregard for the Chinese led to the German minister Clemens von Kettler arresting and executing a young boy suspected of being a Boxer. The common people were outraged, and this act sparks the Boxers and their supporters to actively start trying to attack the foreign embassies. Since many of the local rulers did not support the rebellion, if the Boxers did not have the support of the common people, they would not have the strength to start a large-scale rebellion. If the people did not think that the local rulers If the people did not have a good reason to hate the foreigners, they would not have supported the Boxers. The Empress Dowager, head of the Chinese government, was originally opposed to the Boxers, but gave them imperial approval when the common people called for it, saying that if they cast the Boxers aside and lose the people's hearts, then they could not sustain the country. This event can be linked to the Soviet occupation of the Baltic states. In both cases, the common people felt resentment against foreign forces and sought to drive them out of their country. This shows that discrimination against the people, whether by the oppressors or the oppressed, will only lead to anger and violence. Thank you.